and institutionalize and conceptualize and operationalize all of these great ideas they have as business owners. How do we bring it to fruition? How do we get it from a concept all the way to the finish line? So I have a team where we provide support anywhere from finance, marketing, administrative event planning, all the beautiful things that small businesses and nonprofits need. So excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Sheila?
All right. Hey guys, I'm Jilla Tombar. I am coming to you from New Orleans. I like Dion, have done a variety of things, but most of mine has been in the nonprofit sector. I've been a professional fundraiser for probably 20 years, working large nonprofits, small nonprofits, really from mostly in the DC area and then more recently here in New Orleans. And then most recently, I guess sort of in the last maybe 10 years or so, I've sort of gotten on the other side of things. So instead of, necessarily raising money, been helping give away some money. So being on the other side. And so working at the Greater New Orleans Foundation, and just last year I stepped out on my own and launched my own philanthropic advising practice, in which I not only work with philanthropies to help them come up with their grant making strategy. Also work with families to help them, wealthy families or folks who want to create an impact with their wealth in the community. So also help them come up with their grant making strategies, help them, find organizations they want to support, and folks doing great work. And my goal is always to direct donors to the amazing people leading efforts in Black communities. So that is, oh, and I also teach at Tulane University. I'm a professor of a philanthropy there.
Thank you,
So
Joy.
nice to be with y'all today.
So, I think most of y'all know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Joy. I work with Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium. I like to connect people and things and places and all the good things, but my jam is the power of our community, Black folks in particular, making sure that we are able to get the resources and the acknowledgement and amplify our work in the best way that we can. So I did that about 20 years ago, started a giving circle. And that's one of the models that I use for collective giving and the power of collective giving. And understanding that people giving their time, talent, and treasure is really, really important. And so that's my jam. That's what I love to do, along with connecting the dots, which is why I love working as engagement with Southern Black Girls and meeting all of you all along the way, whether that's at a conference or on a Zoom or just in these streets, in these emails, in these DMs, learning about the great work that you're doing in your organizations. So today we're going to talk about these Black jobs out here. So my first question to these ladies is, before we even get into the slides and all that stuff, a couple of weeks ago, somebody was talking about our Black jobs being given away and other people using them. But tell me what your favorite thing is. As both of you women have talked about working for and with Black people, what is your favorite thing about your Black job? Dion, we'll start with you.
Well, right now, my favorite thing about my Black job is being in fellowship with all of you all. One of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur is you pretty much can control your schedule. You have autonomy to make decisions and participate in things and ways that feed you. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity to have the flexibility and also just the amount of diverse people that I come in contact with. I work with people who are lobbyists on Capitol Hill, all the way down to perhaps somebody running a nonprofit that they're just doing book bags for their school drive. So I'm so blessed and so enriched by all these many contacts and diverse Black people, because I am unapologetically work with other Black people. Very grateful to be able to say that. I know a lot of people don't have that choice. So I just love being in space with us.
Yeah, and I definitely echo what Dion is saying. I just turned 50 this year, and I don't know. I think that I mean, I remember being 25 and just or 20 years old, just coming out of college and sort of thinking about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to change the world. I was really optimistic. And then so, and then once you obviously get into the work, many of you, working in the nonprofit space, you get in there and you realize like, wow, these issues are so big. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just so big. It feels very overwhelming at times. Um, and especially, for I was working with young people in DC area who were gang involved, and, a couple of them in one year got killed. And it was just very it's just like heart-wrenching, and sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough. And so I think these past 25 years or so, I have been just sort of figuring out like where do I land? Like, how can I have the most impact? And at different points in your life, you realize it's different places at different times. I mean, I think when I was 25, I was like the perfect person to be, working with gang involved youth. I was, I had a lot of energy. I was, relatively, close in age. But as I get older and as I've had all these experiences, having this Black job right now in which I'm, owning my own business. Like Dion said, I'm able to, sort of pick and choose who I want to work with and who I want to support. And although, I don't always work with people of color. In fact, many of my clients are, white, wealthy people. My goal is still the same, which is to ensure that Black communities, have the resources they need to be able to create the kind of change they want to see in the world. So I trust Black leaders. I trust Black communities to understand what it is they need. And I am, trying to, now my role is just like trying to make sure that those folks who are doing the work on the ground have the money that they need to be able to do it. So that trend has kind of also always been there, but now I get to do it, not at a foundation, not at a nonprofit, but in my own, my own business, which is pretty awesome.
Thank you. So we have or I have a slideshow that is, we'll talk through it. It's, y'all don't have to take notes. You will get the presentation afterwards. But we're going to talk a little bit about, and we're going to mix it up because Black Philanthropy Month and Black Business Month, a lot of things and tips are aligned and adjacent to one another. As Jilla talked about, she has a lot of philanthropy experience, but she has a small business or she has a Black business. So, I think that this will be helpful to all that are on. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But one thing about Black Philanthropy Month, some people don't even know what it is. So August is Black Philanthropy Month. And what that is a celebration of African descent giving. It was founded in 2011, I believe. I'll get to that slide in a minute, but it is about the transformation of the things that have happened in our communities. And this year's theme is Afrofuturists in Giving. Every year they have a new theme. And so it was founded in 2011 by Dr. Jackie Copeland. And she was literally doing this with the help of 30 diverse women leaders worldwide. It has been acknowledged, it has inspired change, and it has done some things where we can really amplify the philanthropy that Black folks have done or the philanthropy that is happening in Black communities during this month and spotlight those people that are doing the great work by whether that's inspirational or sharing or educating, and then also giving us a platform in which we can actually raise dollars, particularly in this month, for unapologetically Black folks. And Black Business Month was also started. It was started by two men to highlight Black businesses, and they did this to celebrate the 3 million Black Black-owned businesses across the USA because they are a crucial part of why we need to what this economy is why it's good and why it's grand, and we pour a lot of money into this, and we have a lot of Black businesses, and so we needed to highlight that, or these two men felt like that should be highlighted. So that is a little bit about the history of Black Business Month. Some of the barriers, I will lean to Dion and Jilla, but you know what we know for sure. This is probably low-hanging fruit, systematic challenges, the disparities that we have in our systems, the impact during the pandemic. 41% of small businesses closed. To 17% of white-owned businesses. And that probably had a lot to do with some systematic things, some money, funding, which is a third thing. Less than 10% of small business funds go to Black and Latino-owned small businesses. So we don't have the luxury or the privilege to oftentimes have legacy money that has passed down to start a business or create a business or have a plan and then do it, or have an ideal and be able to actually thrive from that ideal, because what we make, we eat, and we got to feed families and provide for yourself and others. So you don't oftentimes have that flexibility. And so that's why maybe some of the Black businesses might have had to close at the time where they weren't bringing in money. Dion, can you share, and I know you work with a lot of Black businesses, a lot of businesses as a whole, but I'm highlighting barriers. Is there anything else that you would like to speak to or can speak to on how that works, or how you all have been able to help offset that with the work that you've done in your business?
Sure. And it's interesting, as I look at this slide, I would add another compartment. I think entrepreneurship is not part of our vocabulary. We are not raised to be we're raised to be very risk averse, right? You grow up, you do well in school, and you just get a really good, stable job. For a long time, that was a mailman, a teacher, a postman, a nurse, right? We weren't even encouraged to think outside the box, right? Because stability was more important than potentially ideating and moving in a different direction. So the trends are changing during COVID, as people got fed up with the structures and confines in which they were currently working. There was a lot of innovativeness and creativeness that came out of that. And even though the numbers of small businesses that were closed, there were an exceptional amount of nonprofits and other businesses that were also created just out of that opportunity of being home and having the time and the space to be able to ideate.
So if we look at statistics, Black businesses generate over $2 billion. We support 3.5 million. And after the pandemic, we've increased 38%. So that's amazing as a whole. A lot of times that is done because, or a lot of times some of the sustainability, I'll say. Dion, one thing you talked about was you work with processes. Can you speak to the importance of having processes for your business, Black, white, whatever, and making it be sustainable over years to come, as opposed to just, fly by night?
Sure. A common question I'm always asked is, as I start my business, what should I pay attention to? How can I encourage and ensure success? And my response typically is, of course, we want to do all the fun things. We want to do the marketing. We want to do the product development. We want to talk to clients. We want to share our mission, our vision, our ideas, our products, our services, and that's great. But it's two other areas that are critical for sustainability and scalability. And I would say one is infrastructure. What do I mean by infrastructure? Build a strong team. Build a team based on core competencies, not on relationships. Oftentimes, we want to hire our cousins or our sisters or people in our family or friends. They may not have the skill set to provide the level of service and responsibility that you need to build a successful business. Also, make sure you build a team of loyalty, because there are going to be highs and lows. There are going to be some times where you have a big win and everybody can celebrate. And especially in the beginning, there are going to be times where there might be some droughts, and you want people who are riding with you so that when you get to that 3, 5, 10-year mark, you all can celebrate together. Another aspect of infrastructure, and I can't stress this enough, make sure you have the right professional team in place. They don't have to be on staff and with you every day. You want to have access to a good attorney. You want to have access to a good CPA. Because in the event there are missteps, unfortunately, in a court of law, I didn't know is not an ample response. You have to hire someone who is well-versed in all the things that are requirements, whether it's IRS, whether it's your Secretary of State in the particular geographic location that you live. Those are going to be cornerstone services that you want to make sure you have as part of your overall team. To your point, Joy, the secondary point I try to stress is, yes, processes, protocols, systems. What are the things that you can do up front that at starting, maybe your revenues might just be a couple of $100s, that when you get to the tens of thousands of dollars and even millions of dollars, everything becomes scalable. Everything is reputable. It doesn't require you to intervene. You're not holding and moving something through from the warehouse out the door. You have systems and processes that work on automation. That's how you scale. And so those are the two things that I would, really highly encourage. Invest in good software platforms, project management tools, things that just make everyone's job and role a lot easier.
Thank you. So we're going to flip it to the nonprofit statistics. And like I said, this is basically good for both, right? A nonprofit is a business. Like, people think, oh, you're saving the world, you're doing it. It still has to have some business things behind it. So we want to be able to share this so that everybody can understand what is good for the gander is good for the goose. It's good for everybody. Some of the Black nonprofit statistics, I like to say the South got something to say. In a recent report from the Giving Gap, a sustainable percentage, 40% of nonprofits were located in the South, where the largest Black American population resides. Because we are Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium, we know that to be true, because we know several Black women that are doing amazing things with Black girls and women. And there's a typo there, but Black women lead. Notably, 60% of nonprofits were founded by Black women, reflecting their standout leadership. One thing for sure is that we have always led. Even when we didn't get any kind of recognition, we have been leaders, and we continue to be leaders. It's kind of in our DNA. But one thing that's also sure is that Black nonprofits need to keep the lights on. And so what we know is that the top thing that most Black nonprofits needs is their general operating, highlighting the importance of grants and contributions. If you are trying to save the world with energy, if you can't keep your lights on, you can't kind of think. And that's oftentimes how we know for sure things are, why a lot of nonprofit leaders are stressed all the time. Jilla, I know you worked with foundations and you've worked with individual donors. You've also worked with other nonprofits, and even from a federal and government standpoint. I would love to hear your take on, I'm sure you're like, hey, I agree with all of that, but is there anything else that you like to add on some things that oftentimes get overlooked from statistics points with nonprofits that you've worked with in the past?
Yeah, I think that, we got to stand on business, right? Dion said the same thing, and we have all these great ideas. Obviously people get into the nonprofit space because they want to change the world. They see a need in their community, and they have big hearts, you know what I mean? And they see a need, they feel like they can do something about it, and that's why they do it. Nobody ever really joined a nonprofit because they wanted to, create a budget, or to, do profit and loss statements and that kind of thing. That's not why we get into the nonprofit world. That's not why we enter the space. And what I find, I think, And so because that's not what we got into it for, it's not what we tend to want to do. So if we have a choice to, work with a young person or feed an older person, that's where we'd rather be spending our time. And so but at the end of the day, you have to keep those lights on. And so what does it take to be able to do that? And that is to stand on your business, to make sure that you know that you really are, that you do have those processes in place. I always tell any of my clients, like before I even when I used to work with nonprofit leaders, that was one of my first businesses that I've ever had. One of the issues I was like, I don't want to really talk about like your mission. I mean, you can give me a mission statement if you have one, but really let me see your budget, because your budget will tell me exactly what it is you care about and what it is that you do. Right. And so what I found that in Black-led nonprofits in particular is that folks are just, the full cost are not in the budget. So it looks like you're not, if I look at your budget, it doesn't look like you've put everything in. You're doing all these extra things, but it's not reflected because you're just sort of giving it, you're just sort of doing it in kind. And so what I try to tell folks is, even if you're doing it in kind, especially if those of you have small nonprofits, still put it in. You know what I mean? Like if you are driving meals to elderly people yourself, put how much that would cost if another person did it. And that way you can still have it reflected in the budget as an in-kind expense, but it is reflected there. Therefore, when a donor comes along, you can say, hey, it actually takes us, $100,000 to run this program every year versus 15. We like to come in sometimes saying that lower number. And in reality, and then we sort of complain later on that we're not getting the larger dollars, right? So we have to be able to, one, record what it is we actually do, and to we can better tell our story, right? And I'd like to see that in the budget. So if I have one sort of tidbit that's here, is that is that make sure your budget reflects what it is you actually do. Therefore, you can start there to be able to have those conversations with donors, with foundations. You're able to actually say, this is what we do. And then you can also, start thinking about like value added, right? Or return on investment. Those are sort of business terms that people use, but in the nonprofit space, those folks who are donors, you'll often see them use the word, we like to invest in, right? They see themselves as investors in your work. They want to be able to be a part of that. They want to see a return on investment. They want to see that if I gave you $100,000, that this is what you produced with that. So being able to just kind of keep up with all of those things, being able to, maybe using some of the software that Dion mentioned, but, even if it's you with writing it in your notes section, however you need to do it, just make sure that you are constantly keeping control over your inputs, what it is that it takes for you to be able to do the work, and then make sure you're counting your outcomes, right? What happened as a result of all those things that you put into the work. And so, so data collection, I know that's data collection and finance, basically, those are the two big things, the non-sexy things, but the things that have to be done and the things that can help you grow.
Thank you. Yeah, that's not fun for me. I like to talk to people. I don't want to do that part, but
Yeah.
it does keep the lights on. And it also, to your point, as you talk about what do, you can also look at it similar, like when you do your own budget. I can say, oh, I spend way too much time in shopping, Joy. Maybe I shouldn't buy those clothes and I should do something else. Or I can allocate my time different. If that's my mission and vision and I'm not doing it, then what is my purpose? Like, why do I have this organization? Some things that are significant about Black entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders, like this is the cusp of probably Black people, but we're resilient in all the things that we do. We create jobs, we invest in community, and we build generational wealth, and we address inequalities. Oftentimes, Black businesses and nonprofits address the systematic things, the hard work, and the hard work is things that we actually we do it. We do it without thinking about it. We do it unapologetically. We put it on our backs and we roll with it. But those challenges are often facing, like, the underrepresentation. So when we look at that, our population, you see big corporations, they don't have any Black people in C-suite stuff, that is a real thing. Like, we are not being hired in the same way. So we're not represented in all the levels. We have an impact from the pandemic. We talked about how they closed, and we talked about the disparities of the actual small business fund. But we can also support our Black businesses in several different ways. I'm going to have Dion pop in on that, but one of the things that, or some of the things we can do is, make sure that your information, if you are a small business, is updated, is correct. Like, I would hate to have the wrong website on the business card or my profile. If I Google you, because everybody Googles everybody, is not going to the right place. Show your face, show who you are and what you're doing, like stand on business, as Julia said, but also like behind the scenes, this doesn't happen. You're not a wizard. So I think people are connect with people. And so that also is helpful. Using hashtags when we're talking about digital, promoting for people, or for others to support other Black businesses. You can partner, and you can also look at how you can address businesses on your social channels. And consumers, you can shop and you can write reviews. Like, it doesn't take anything for you to talk to write a review on a Black business, because when people have complaints, they put them out there. So we can dismantle that in that way as well. Dion, would you like to add anything else about supporting Black businesses in that way?
Sure. So of course, one of the areas that Black businesses statistically, we don't get the same level of resourcing, right? Whether that's financial backing, access to professional development, mentors, it's a very narrow pipeline. And so as you are building your business and you start to talk to investors, and perhaps you go to the SBA, Small Business Association, for a loan, it's very important right here and right now in this startup phase to keep good records, no commingling. So I had one client, she just couldn't control herself. She had a business account and a business credit card, and she insisted upon using that at Macy's or taking trips that weren't related to her business. So when it came time where she was put forward to a potential investor, everything was not in order. And even at the end of the year, when you get ready to do your IRS and your taxes, everything's not in order. So just keep a very clean line between you as a personal entity and you as a business owner. That will go up to build that discipline in up front will go a very, very long way, and it'll get you a lot of yardage and a lot of less headaches too, I would say, at the end of the day.
Thank you.
I wanted to just say that, we've all listened to the Shop Black, thing for a long time. And so a lot of times, Dion and I, for example, are consultants, right? So you may not need a Dion, you may not need a Jilla. So you can't really necessarily shop Black, right? Even though we're Black-owned businesses. But one of the things that I do think that, and I love that Joy put this here, is that, just leaving a review. If you had a good experience somewhere, those Google reviews count for a lot. Basically, it helps Black businesses. It makes you go up in the like your search results. You will go higher in the search results. So, if somebody writes a review about my business, then that means that if somebody, Googles, I want to find a philanthropic advisor in New Orleans, then my name will pop up sooner, right? And then potential clients can look at, can know a little something about us, and it sort of legitimizes us, right? So take those 5 minutes. I don't care, that's one thing that I think that we can all do. If it's one thing I wish that you would do if you leave the space today, is to just go in, and whether it's a business or a nonprofit, to go in and just, in Google reviews, just write a quick review on something great that you experienced, either with a Black business or a Black nonprofit. And I think that brings more people to them. And, let's face it, we need everybody to, to use our services, right? Um, you know, um, that's how we become super successful. And the more successful we are, for those of us, that care about, our community, then we can invest back into our community. So, I love that, that you can, that you do that. And especially if you have a nonprofit, you have vendors. Try to use vendors who are, who are Black owned businesses, as much as you can. So that's a way that we can always support. I just try to be, conscious of, like your social capital, like how can you, leave that review? How can you promote it via your social channels? And if you have an opportunity to, use a Black owned business, that you take advantage of that opportunity, even in your workplace.
Thank
And I
you.
would even say, challenge your network. So, for example, if you have a banker or if you have a vendor that you use frequently, if they're not Black owned, require that they do businesses. They can demonstrate and show you how they're supporting MWBEs. Maybe it's a 20%, but if you establish that threshold, then we are only going to do businesses with those partners who also do business. That becomes the ripple effect. So that's important as well. Not only what you have direct control over, but who you interface and decide to partner with, you can lean in on them as well.
Yes, so true.
So, as we talk about businesses and we talk about celebrating and amplifying Black businesses, how do we celebrate Black philanthropy? So one of the things, or a few things, but something I know for sure is take the time to learn about new organizations that you can support, or support the ones that you actually know that are supporting, and do it through Black Philanthropy Month, because these dollars are counted not differently, but it's a collective intentional space and time to do it. And we can amplify the dollars in this 30-day, 31-day period, in a different way. And the narrative shifts a little bit just on the articles that have been done and the organizations that really do pride themselves in counting the dollars that are spent during Black Philanthropy Month. Connect with, like-minded philanthropists, like-minded people, organizations. We talked about, maybe it's a collab between two nonprofits that could actually work. And then I have fundraise here. I'm not a fundraiser. I'll say that to everybody. I always say I'm a friend raiser. But if that means that you're using your time, your talent, and your treasure to connect organizations to one another, or people to organizations that they may or may not know about, especially in this particular month of August, as we elevate and amplify the voices of the Black nonprofits, I think that's a great starting step. And it doesn't require you to do a whole lot of things to put you outside of your comfort zone. Jilla, would you like to share anything else that you would add to that?
Yes, I love Black Philanthropy Month. It is something that, and Dion knows, I mean, is to recognize ourselves, our power, right? I think all of this, to me, I'm sorry, there's stuff happening outside. Gosh, I wish that were not happening right now, but if you guys can still hear me, it is so important to just recognize our own power. We are so powerful, right? And so if we are able to, one, recognize that we are philanthropists, that we have always been philanthropists. Everybody, grandma didn't made you give some money up in church. Everybody, has, lent something to somebody who needed it. We have such a rich, rich history of sort of informal philanthropy, but also formal philanthropy. I mean, I live in New Orleans, where, people always talk about the jazz funeral. That is based in philanthropy, right? That is based in people, coming together, communities coming together to support each other in a time of need, right? So everybody put in money, somebody dies, then they are able to bury that person. So those are examples of just how informally and formally we've been able to support each other over the years. And so I would just say that, let's acknowledge who we are. Let's acknowledge how powerful we really are. And so we're able to, and once we know that, then we know that we can support each other, continue to do that, and give to organizations that we know that are doing work in our community.
Thank you. And I appreciate you talking about philanthropy. I typically lead my conversations on philanthropy that, philanthropy, oftentimes you'll think about it, and I'm a philanthropist. I share that with others, especially people that are brown and black people in particular, because we have been philanthropists. It's in our DNA. It is not a white man with a check. It is about the love of humankind. And Black folks have loved humankind when humankind didn't love us. So we have been philanthropists, and don't let anybody tell you anything different. So to celebrate Black Philanthropy Month and celebrate us and our power and our service to really, quite frankly, a world that didn't love us is just something that's very powerful. And we can do that unapologetically in the month of August. You can do that with the community involvement. There are events. I will share some resources in a few slides, but events that happen to increase the networking and the opportunities to highlight Black Philanthropy Month and organizations that are doing things for Black Philanthropy Month. Local media outlets and influencers, share your story, share how, organization you gave to an organization, or you want to uplift an organization that is doing great in your communities. And then partnerships. What does it look like to expand your reach? Tell a friend to tell a friend, but that influence, we have power. We know that people are coming for our culture and they want it. We have those powerful insights, and we can actually change the narrative and at least shift the narrative so that it is our voices and not somebody else telling our story. Digital presence is very, very important. Use hashtags. Have a hashtag for your organization that you can kind of help people, and tag it with Black Philanthropy Month so people know, oh, you know what? Yeah, I can give to that organization. Make sure you're actually updating your profiles. Share content that supports awareness for your organization. So sometimes you could basically do things that are complementary for your organization, and understand that this philanthropic piece that we're doing is bigger than us. So talk about the community, talk about the background, why you do what you do. What's your why? Share those stories. Be personable with your content. And that will also help people feel like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this, because people give to people. They give to causes, but they give to people when they build relationships and have a connection with people. And you can make that connection even on a digital platform. Amplifying Black August is really recognizing the work that we do and how we do it, celebrating, like Jilla said, we deserve to be of service. We deserve to be seen and not just be on the supply side of philanthropy. I mean, on the demand side of philanthropy, but we are suppliers. We can give. If we have a nonprofit, we are giving. We're giving of our time, our talent, our social ties, all of those things. And we need to celebrate that, because oftentimes it's hard work. You're exhausted. But take this time to show a little joy, to show why you do what you do, to show the people that are involved with the work that you do, because we know that you're not doing it all on your own, even though sometimes you feel like it. You have others that are amplifying and being in community with you to actually do the work. And it just shows your level of commitment. I mean, and we talk about Black businesses, Black nonprofits, but a lot of times we can do some combination work. Most Black businesses are doing philanthropy work, you all, because Black folks love community and we love giving back. So a lot of my friends that have their own businesses, they're giving back. They may not have a nonprofit, but they're doing work and they want to support the organizations that are taking care of community. So that's important that we amplify this movement of Black August from a Black philanthropy standpoint and a Black business standpoint. Dion or Jilla, do you have any other comments that you would like to add to my commentary?
I guess I just have, one final thought. One of the things I would encourage everyone, not just this month with it being Black Philanthropy Month, but any and all times, especially in this current political environment, I challenge everybody to get involved. We are easy to sit back and criticize and be critical of this oppressive systemic culture that has Black people always at the low end. If we don't roll up our sleeves and get involved and get engaged, nothing will ever change. And so one of my clients right now, their primary mission is voter education and voter mobilization. So each one of my girlfriends that were like, yay, we were part of that 44,000 that were on the call the other day. My follow-up question has always been, who did you write your check to? And who did you sign up to be a volunteer? Because guess what? Phone calls got to be made, doors got to be knocked, texts got to be sent. We don't like them on the receiving end, but this is critical time in order to make people aware of what's happening. So you can't just sit back and be apathetic, complacent. Get involved. There are a lot of ways that you can get engaged. Your voice can be heard. Leverage your skills, your talents. Find out a way to connect with an organization where you live and something that you are passionate about. This is another way where you can get fulfilled without having to start a nonprofit. Whenever somebody comes to me and goes, I really want to start a nonprofit, let's talk through that. Is there a partner organization that's doing similar work that you could partner with or work with? Can you just volunteer? Just kind of, because this starting a nonprofit is not an easy task, and you want to make sure it's sustainable, right? And it takes a lot of work. So that would be my takeaways. Just hopefully everybody just get involved and find ways that they can contribute to community in that way.
Yeah, yeah, and that is really amazing. And yeah, we do have a really unique opportunity right now to be able to do that. A lot of times, when you're working, work with individual donors and families, they have a diverse, it's not just, they're giving out grant support, for a particular nonprofit. They like to fund advocacy organizations. And a part of their giving, although it's not tax deductible giving, is to, fund you know, political organizations, PACs and or candidates. It's considered they consider it a part of their giving. Again, not all giving is tax deductible, but it is a part of their giving strategy because at the end of the day, we know that policies affect who's in office and affects our policy, the policies that are made and the laws that are in place that have that is what helps dismantle systemic inequities, right? So give $5 if you can to a Black nonprofit, or a candidate, $5, $10. It doesn't always have to be a lot of money. Sometimes, especially if you think about philanthropy, it is really not the $1 million. It's really the $10, honestly. And how special is it that somebody, thinks enough of your organization just to give you $10? You know what I mean? That might be lunch for a staff member, So all of those little things, they do add up. And what if we were all doing it at the same time? So I love that Black August is a thing. I love that we all have this amazing opportunity to really just show up in a big way this month, that we show up for the nonprofits in our community. We show up, for Black businesses. We're showing up for, we have this opportunity to vote in the fall. So we have a lot of opportunities here, and that we just really recognize our own power and know that at the end of the day, there are folks that are here to help you. And to get you're never alone, just to ask for support, whenever you need it. And people and folks will come alongside you to make to help make this dream that we sort of have for our community become a reality. So I would just end with that, maybe.
That's great. You don't have to maybe, you can just end with it. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we shared were resources for Black Philanthropy Month, since I know a lot of people are from the nonprofit sector. Black Philanthropy Month, their actual website is Black Philanthropy Month. That will give you some webinars and some events that are happening throughout the region, the United States and the world, because it's a global thing, events that are happening that you can tune into. Also, the Giving Back Project, it is a project that is a tour. It's literally on tour. I think right now it's in Arkansas, but it talks about collective giving and sharing about Black philanthropists. Check it out. One thing I want to highlight is 8/28 Day. That is the Blackest Day of Giving. If you have not registered as a nonprofit, please go to this website, Give 8/28. It is a day of giving. It is a opportunity for you to amplify your organization and also the voice of other organizations there, but you can share that. There are opportunities that are matching. There are contests. It is literally the Blackest Day of Giving, and it's about giving back to Black nonprofits. So please register. I think you have until August the 8th, I believe, to register your organization to get some funding or to actually amplify your voice. And then the Giving Gap, that is a directory of all nonprofits and benevolent organizations. I would recommend that you make sure that you're in their directory because donors look at that. People, who said this was started during after George Floyd, and people were like, I don't know where I can give to Black businesses and Black organizations and nonprofits. Are there any in the world? So a group of people came together and they said, let me help you out. They also just did a big report that's on their website talking about the inequities with Black nonprofits and what is needed. And a couple of the facts that were shared today were from that report. And so what I will do, we have like a few minutes. If anybody has any like dire questions that they want to ask, I will open the floor for maybe 1 or 2 questions. I appreciate you ladies for having this conversation with me, being authentic and unapologetically Black in this space. But yeah, anybody have any questions? Feel free to come off mute. I'm okay with a pregnant pause. I am appreciative, like I said, of you all having the time, sharing the time with me today. I think you all, in a perfect world, I'll be like, what are your last thoughts? But y'all kind of wrapped it up in the last few minutes of our conversation. I hope that the people that are on the call and those that are watching have enjoyed this or got something from it. I know I did. I appreciate the ladies that came in today and those that joined us in the Sage Circle, because this is a space for us to be to share with our community, which is Black women, the resources and the expertise that is of our community. We know that we're stronger together and we have everything that we need all within our purview. So these ladies were kind enough to be here today. We do this every month on the 4th Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 12 Central. We would love for you to join, where we'll have another expert share another entity of the Black woman experience and Black girls experience, how we actually lift up each other. So please feel free to join us next month. And then also follow us, southernblackgirls.org, and sign up for our newsletter, all of our great events that we have and coming up, and any information that we have hot off the press. So I appreciate you. I have the opportunity to give you 2 minutes back of your time today. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon. Did I miss? No. Then thank you for your comments. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye. Thank you, Shansai.
You're welcome.
So I have, so who's the third Southern Black girl person?
You know me, I was sitting right there and I was like, I have to do something. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. It's like 4 of us.
But it's more than you. You had somebody else.
It's somebody else too.
No, me. I was doing a live stream and then I had to run to the store. I did it on my phone.
Oh.
So I can know when.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, who is like, we don't have that many people.
Right. To be this lost. Okay.
Right. They use this login. So okay. Well, thank you ladies for making this happen and being my tech support, Shansai, for recording in the live stream. I was like, I don't know where the stuff is. Jalecia usually is the go-to girl on this. I'm gonna just press some buttons.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-mm.
Y'all have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.